South Africa, a nation of striking contrasts, is facing a challenge that has been steadily intensifying over the past 2 decades: undocumented immigration. Across its borders, thousands of individuals from neighboring countries enter in search of better opportunities, safety, and a chance at a life that may be impossible in their home nations. While migration has always been part of South Africa's history, the scale and visibility of undocumented foreigners have sparked debates about resources, security, and social cohesion. Estimates of the number of undocumented migrants vary widely. Some sources claim between 5 and 10 million individuals may be living in South Africa without legal status. The lack of precise data is a key challenge, as these numbers are difficult to verify. Official censuses capture only documented residents, while informal settlements, urban centers, and rural areas host large, unrecorded populations. Despite this uncertainty, the impact on society is tangible. In many cities, clinics report high percentages of patients without legal status, and schools in densely populated areas face enormous pressure to accommodate children who may not be properly documented. Public services, already stretched thin, are under additional strain. Health facilities, public schools, and housing departments struggle to meet the combined needs of citizens and migrants. While it is true that undocumented migrants contribute to the economy through informal trade, domestic work, and other labor sectors, many South Africans perceive their presence as a direct competition for jobs, housing, and education. The tension is further complicated by visible urban challenges, including informal settlements and so-called hijacked buildings, abandoned properties taken over by individuals, including undocumented foreigners, often under unsafe conditions. These spaces can become hotspots for fire hazards, overcrowding, and insecurity. The South African government, aware of these challenges, has developed laws designed to manage migration. The Immigration Act of 2002 and the Refugees Act of 1998 establish procedures for entry, residence, and deportation. Despite these regulations, enforcement has been inconsistent. The Department of Home Affairs has launched campaigns to address undocumented immigration, including the use of biometric technology, increased border monitoring, and targeted deportation programs. In the 2024 to 2025 financial year, nearly 47,000 undocumented migrants were deported, representing an increase from the previous year. This reflects an intensifying effort to curb illegal immigration, but it also highlights the vast scale of the challenge and the limitations of enforcement alone. Social dynamics add another layer of complexity. Movements such as Operation Dudula have gained attention in recent years, advocating for stricter enforcement and community-led interventions to remove undocumented migrants from public spaces. While supporters argue that these initiatives protect citizens and relieve pressure on resources, critics warn that such actions risk inflaming xenophobic tensions and can lead to unlawful evictions or violence. The fine line between lawful immigration control and violations of human rights has become a focal point of national debate. Undocumented migrants themselves are vulnerable. Many live in conditions that expose them to exploitation, unsafe housing, and limited access to healthcare. Despite their legal status, South African law affords certain protections, particularly for children and asylum seekers, yet practical access to these protections can be inconsistent. Reports from human rights organizations highlight cases where migrants are denied services or subjected to inhumane treatment, reflecting the tension between legal frameworks and day-to-day enforcement. Economically, undocumented migrants play a significant, though often overlooked, role. They participate in informal markets, provide labor in sectors such as agriculture, construction, and domestic services, and contribute to local economies. However, their participation is frequently cited by political figures as a strain on jobs, a claim that fuels public anxiety. Meanwhile, communities struggle to balance humanitarian responsibilities with practical needs, as resource limitations force difficult choices. Across South Africa, the narrative around undocumented immigration is complex. It is a story of individuals seeking opportunity, of a government striving to maintain order, and of communities grappling with the tangible effects of migration. The tension between human rights obligations and the demand for social stability remains at the forefront of the debate. The challenge is ongoing, with no simple solutions, as policymakers, citizens, and migrants navigate an evolving landscape of migration, legality, and societal impact. The history of migration in South Africa is intertwined with the nation's economic, social, and political development. From the early labor migrations into mines and farms during the colonial and apartheid eras to the contemporary influx from neighboring countries such as Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Malawi, and the Democratic Republic of Congo, migration has always been a key factor in the labor market and urban development. The contemporary challenges, however, are unique in their scale and visibility, as well as in their impact on public perception and social cohesion. Illegal or undocumented migration is often linked to the pursuit of economic opportunity. Neighboring countries face high unemployment rates, political instability, or insufficient social support systems, motivating individuals to seek work and a better life across the South African border. Many enter legally but overstay their visas, while others cross informally through porous borders. Once in South Africa, they often settle in urban centers, where work opportunities are concentrated. Cities like Johannesburg, Pretoria, Durban, and Cape Town have become hubs for undocumented populations, particularly in informal settlements and densely populated neighborhoods where housing is limited. While some migrants achieve economic integration and provide essential labor, others struggle to find stable employment and adequate housing. This leads to a concentration of individuals in marginalized spaces, such as overcrowded informal settlements or hijacked buildings in central Johannesburg. Such buildings are often unsafe, lacking basic utilities and fire safety measures. Overcrowding, poor sanitation, and criminal activity have made these sites highly visible symbols of the challenges associated with undocumented migration. These conditions are also exploited by criminal networks engaged in human trafficking, labor exploitation, and illegal trading activities, further complicating the narrative around migration. Social tensions have become increasingly pronounced. Many South Africans perceive undocumented migrants as competitors for limited resources such as healthcare, education, housing, and employment. These perceptions are amplified by political rhetoric and media coverage, which often highlight isolated incidents of crime or resource shortages involving migrants. Movements like Operation Dudula have capitalized on public frustration, organizing campaigns to remove undocumented migrants from certain areas. While supporters argue that such actions are necessary to protect citizens, human rights organizations warn that vigilante activity risks escalating violence and infringing upon constitutional protections. The fine line between lawful immigration control and violations of human rights has become a focal point of national debate. Legally, South Africa has a framework designed to manage migration, protect asylum seekers, and regulate entry and residence. The Immigration Act of 2002 outlines the requirements for legal entry, visas, and deportation procedures. The Refugees Act of 1998 provides protections for individuals fleeing persecution in their home countries. However, practical enforcement has struggled to keep pace with the scale of migration. Limited resources, administrative inefficiencies, and corruption at some points of entry have contributed to the persistence of undocumented populations. While the government has increased deportations and border patrols, critics argue that enforcement alone cannot resolve the underlying issues of migration and integration. Education and healthcare systems provide a clear example of the pressures posed by undocumented migration. Schools in urban areas often enroll children regardless of legal status, which is required by law. But this can lead to overcrowded classrooms, shortages of resources, and overworked teachers. Clinics and hospitals face similar challenges, with some facilities reporting that a significant percentage of their patients are non-citizens. While migrants contribute economically through taxes and informal labor, these services are designed primarily for citizens, creating tension and debate over resource allocation. In addition to social and economic concerns, safety and security issues are often cited. Overcrowded living spaces, unregulated informal economies, and social marginalization can create environments where criminal activity occurs. It is critical, however, to differentiate between perception and evidence. While incidents involving undocumented migrants receive high media attention, research indicates that most migrants are law-abiding and that broader socio-economic conditions play a greater role in urban crime rates. Nevertheless, the visibility of migrants in high-density areas contributes to public perception that migration and crime are closely linked. In conclusion, the presence of undocumented migrants in South Africa reflects a complex interplay of economic need, regional instability, social perception, and legal frameworks. Their contribution to the labor market, informal economy, and society at large is significant. Yet the challenges they face and those posed to communities cannot be ignored. Addressing undocumented migration requires a balanced approach, one that combines enforcement, human rights protections, urban planning, and regional cooperation. Only by understanding the full picture, beyond headlines and statistics, can policymakers, communities, and citizens navigate the realities of migration and work towards solutions that are both effective and humane.